Okay, so today we will work on error handling. So what we will do, we will create one new project and we'll give name as error mule app. So first what I will do, I will create one very basic mule flow, and I will create success scenario, then I will create error. Okay, so what I will do, inside code component I will take flow, and inside flow, since I want to expose my API as a REST API, so what I will do, I will use HTTP listener. Okay, now here we will use default mule connector configuration. So click on this and we'll use localhost and 8081. So I'm not going to test since I know my port is available, so I'm clicking on this, and in path I will take test error. Okay, so we are done with this listener configuration. Now what I will do, I will take one code component transform message, and first we will, okay, let me put two logger also. Before this and at the end of this. So here what I will do, I will write request receive, and here I will write, I will log response sent. Okay, now inside transform message, what I will do, I will display result, and value of result will be 10 divided by 5, so it should be 2. So I have created one success flow, and what I will do, I will run this, and this debug process is started. So meanwhile what I will do, I will create one postman, and postman will be localhost, URL will be localhost 8081 and this test error. Okay, let it deploy first. Okay, deployment done. So first we'll see we are getting this response or not. Okay, so we are getting in Java, so what I will do, I will convert in JSON. I saved this application, so automatic deployment will start. So deployment completed, and we are getting result here. So what we are doing here, we are dividing 10 by 5, so we are getting inside result, we are getting 2. Now what I will do, here I will divide this 10 by 0. So what will happen, if any number divided by 0, it will create infinite value, and in MuleSoft also we can't handle infinite value. So what it will do, what it will give, it will give us error. Okay, so first let me save this. Okay, and if I will call here, okay, deployment not completed, I think. Okay, yeah, still deployment in progress. Deployment done. Now you can see we are getting this error, division by 0, result 10 by 0. So we are getting this detailed description here, and we are getting 500 here. Okay, so what happening here, to see exact things here, what I will do, I will stop this and I will start in debug mode, and I will add one breakpoint here. So in this application, what we are doing, we have some error scenario. Okay, here in transformation we are getting error, but if you go in this error handling flow, we are not handling that error. Okay, so this one is default scenario when there is some error but you are not handling that error, means our application is not handling that error. So in that case, what will happen, this error handler will call default error handler. Okay, and whatever you can see here, this is this response we are getting from default error handler. Okay, so deployment done. Now I will go here and I will call this. So we are at this point. If I will go next, then this transform, we are inside this transform message. Once I will click on this, see, we are getting error here, and we have this description what we are getting in response, and we have same thing in detailed description also. So first let me extend this and let me explain this part. So whenever there will be error, one error object will be created. Okay, and inside error object you will get description, detailed description, error type, errors. Okay, these all details you will get. Okay, now if you want this detail description you want, so how you can get description, here type error dot description and click on evaluate. See, you are getting same message what we can see here. So whenever there will be error in your flow, one error object will be created, and inside that error object we will have multiple element key value pair. So first key is description, and inside description you will able to see why you are getting that particular error. Okay, same way we have error type. Okay, if you type here error type, you will get what is the type of your error. So we are getting mule expression error. Now to get detailed idea of this, what I will do, I will go to MuleSoft error documentation. So here they have given complete detail. So whenever you will get any error, one error object will be created, and inside that error object you will get all these field. So first field is error description, and this is a description of the problem. So whatever error you got, for that you will get complete description here, and in detailed description you will get detailed description of that particular error. Many a time you will find these two contain same value, but sometime you will see in detailed description you will get more detail about your error. Then type. So error type will tell you what kind of error you got. Okay, and to get that value you have to write this syntax error type. Then you can find cause also. So if you will type error.cause, it will give you region of that particular error. Okay, and then error message and child error. We have two optional element, that is message and child error. Now you will say here we can see type. So from where MuleSoft defining types. Okay, so if you go and if you see in MuleSoft we have multiple types of error. So error is divided into two types. One is any, another one is critical. So critical error MuleSoft can't handle. Okay, so we will not able to do with anything with critical error. Okay, if there will be critical error we will not able to handle. So critical error will be like your system crash. Okay, something which is not in hand of MuleSoft, that is critical error. Now another part is any. So any is parent of all this error. So what all error type we have? For example, if we have connectivity issue. connectivity error, then you will get connectivity type. If you have mule expression error, something you have written incorrectly in your data weave, in that case you will get expression error. Security error, like you haven't provided correct client security or server security, in that case you will get security error. Same way we have routing error, transformation error, okay, and any is parent of all these error. In connectivity error, again we have multiple child like retry, adjusted, and we have different kind of connectivity error also. Okay, so whenever there will be error, so it will means whatever error we can handle in MuleSoft, all are type of this any, all are child of this any. Okay, any is parent of all the type of error. Okay, now you can see in transformation indicates an error occurred while transforming a value. Then expression error indicate an error occurred while evaluating a data weave expression. So just now what kind of error we got? We got expression error. So if you see here, mule expression. So what is your type? Mule expression. Why we got this mule expression error? Since occurred while evaluating a data weave expression. Here we are when we are getting this error when we are evaluating our data weave expression. So here we have data weave expression and it's failing here. Okay, so based on this you will get this error type. Everyone got it? And every error type will be divided into two parts. First part will be your prefix and another one will be your error type. Okay, so in this way we have multiple kind of error, sometime like connectivity error, when you will complete your retry. For example, you are trying to connect with database using database connector, you are trying to connect with external system. Okay, and you have configured like you will try to connect 3 times. If there will be a database is down, then you will retry for 3 times, and even if you will not able to connect, then you will get this retry adjusted error. Okay, now okay, custom error type we will discuss later. First we will see whatever predefined error we have inside MuleSoft. Okay, so few things you have to be remember, like what all element you will get whenever there will be error. So error object will be created, and inside that you will get this much of elements. Okay, now I will go again here. So as I told, error type will be, you will get error type based on your type of error. So here we are failing inside data weave, that's why we are getting mule expression. Okay, now whenever there will be error in your flow, then next activity will not become executed. So what will happen? This error will be handled by their parent flow. Okay, so as I told, like only only flow contains error handling. That's why whenever there will be error, okay, so this error will go to their parent flow. So in this we have only one flow, so this flow is parent flow of this mule component. Okay, so what will happen now? This flow will handle this error, but if you go to error handling of this particular flow, we don't have any error handling. So what will happen? If there will not be any error handling in flow, then it will throw that error to default error handler. Okay, every mule application has default error handler, and that default error handler contains on error propagate. Now what is a on error propagate, we will discuss next. Okay, so don't worry for this. So what will happen now? it will go to error handling of this particular flow. Since we don't have anything here, we are not handling that error, so it will call default error handler, and default error handler will send response back to calling system. Okay, so we are getting response here. Now how we are getting response here, like this status code and this description? To understand this, what we need to do, we need to go inside this listener. Okay, and inside this listener we have response field. Okay, so here we will understand how we are getting this much of this payload and this status code, everything, since our HTTP listener is responsible to connect with external system. So who is sending response? So this listener is sending. Okay, so in response you can see we have one response and we have error response. Okay, now this response is success response. So whenever our flow will be executed successfully, so what response we will send, we define here. So if you remember, I told multiple time, in case of success scenario, whenever there will be, means whatever your last payload will be there, that payload you will get as a response. So why we are getting that payload as a response? Since we have defined body as a payload. In response we have defined body as a payload. So whatever my last payload will be there, okay, at the end of your flow, whatever your payload value will be there, that payload you will get in your response in case of success. Okay, if you want to change, like you don't want to send last payload, your final payload as a response, so whatever you want you can put here. If you every time if you want to pass some fixed value, you can pass. If you want to pay if you want to send some variable value, that also you can define here. So whatever you will define here, that response you will receive if you will call this API. That's why every time I'm saying, like, whatever your last payload will be there, final payload will be there in flow, that payload you will get in response, since we have defined body as a payload. If you want, you can change this. Now status code, in case of success scenario, by default you will get status code 200. If you want to generate, if you want to send some other status code, you have to define here. Okay, but if you are not defining anything, then by default this listener will send 200 in case of success. Okay, next, same thing we have with error response also. So this time our flow create one error, that is DataWeave expression error. In this case you can see what error we are sending. Output text plain. So what is our body? Output text plain. Sorry. Okay, so our output is of type text plain, data type is text plain. Okay, and then inside body, what is my final response? Error.description. If you remember, we had same description when we, okay, let me run it again. Here you can see inside error we have error description, and value of error description is this. Okay, that's why we are getting this error. Okay, everyone clear with this? Now again I will move to this listener, since we need to discuss few more things here. Okay, by default, in case of error, your status code will be 500. If you want to pass some specific error code, then you have to define here. But by default, your status code will be 500. That's why we are getting. Okay, we haven't completed process. Let me complete now. By default you can see we are getting 500, but if you want you can define and customize here. Okay, so now what I will do, till this point we use default error handler. So inside default error handler there will be on error propagate by default. Okay, so default error handler contain on error propagate. So let's start with on error propagate. Now we are not going to use default error handler, we are going to define our on error handler. Okay, so how to define our on error handler? So whenever there will be any error in flow, what I want to do, instead of this 500 I want to send some other like 505 I want to send, or something like 404, whatever I want, we can pass it here. Okay, and next thing, in body also, instead of sending this error description we can customize our response and we can send. Okay, so we'll see here. So I will go to core component, and here you can see inside error handling we have 4 component. First component is error handler, and this one is our error handler. Whatever component we have here now, this component is error handler. So your mule flow will by default it will contain this error handler flow. Okay, so we need not require to drag and drop it here. But if you want to define this error handler, like if you want to use this error handler flow, error handler component somewhere else outside of your mule flow, then you have to first drag and drop this, and then you can use this. But what we are going to do, we have already error handler inside this mule flow, so we are going to define we are going to handle error inside this only. Okay, so to handle any kind of error we have 2 mule component. One is on error continue and another one is on error propagate. So first we will understand difference between these 2 component. So first component is on error continue. So this component, what this component will do, whenever you will configure this on error continue component, this error handling component will take error response and will send success response. So whenever there will be error here, it will take that error and it will send success response. Okay, so how it will send? So for now what I will do nothing. I will just save this. Okay, deployment done. So now we are not using, actually we have defined our on error handler. Okay, so what will happen, whenever there will be error, this error handler will handle this error, but still inside this we are not doing anything. Okay, and what is characteristic of this on error continue mule component? It will take error but it will send success response. So this listener will receive success response. Okay, so we'll see behavior, what will happen if I am using this blank on error continue. I'm calling this, we are at this place. In transform message we have error. As I told, now we will not go to default error handler since we have defined our error handler component, mule component. So whenever there will be error, this will be this will be handled by this on error continue. And one more thing, here you can see we have type. So if we are not defining any particular type, so it will handle any kind of error. Okay, by default type is any, and if you remember, any is parent of all kind of error. So by default type is any. So whatever error will come in your flow, this error component will handle that error. Okay, let's move to next. Okay, so what happened after this, our flow went here. Since we haven't defined anything, so just this flow completed and it sent error here. But first we will see what change we got, like what behavioral change we got in this. Okay, if we are using blank on error continue. So you can see here, now we are not getting, even if our flow failed here, but we are getting 200 success, and in body we are getting blank. Okay, why we are getting blank? Since in case of success response we have payload, we are not setting payload, nowhere we are setting payload. Okay, that's why our payload is blank and we are getting 200. But in my flow we got error, somewhere we got error. So ideally what it should do, this API should send some error response, but this API is sending success response. So this is the key behavior of this on error continue component. Whenever there will be error in your flow and that error is handled by this on error continue, then what it will do, it will take that error and it will send success response. So in response we are sending payload, so our payload is blank, so we are getting blank, and status code is default 200, so we are getting 200. But now what I want to do, in case of this on error continue, means if there is any error in our flow, okay, and we will go to on error continue, here I will define some payload. Okay, so what I will do, I will put this transform message here. I will define error code. Non-critical error. So this is not critical error, so that's why we are sending you success. Okay, error code we can send 200, or we can use some custom code like XA1001. So we have discussion with our business, like whenever we will get non-critical error, we will send this error message. Okay, okay, this should be separated by comma since we are writing JSON payload. So now what will happen, whenever there will be error in our flow, that flow will raise error, and we have inside error handling scope we have on error continue. So what this on error continue will do, since we haven't defined any type, by default type will be any, means whatever error will come in our flow, this on error continue will catch that error and it will send success response. Okay, so this is behavior of this on error continue component. And in case of success, if you see here, in case of response, success response, as a body we are sending payload, and just now I created payload here. Okay, whatever component we will define here, all component will be executed. So we are defining payload here, so that payload we are setting inside this body, and status code is by default status code we are sending, so status code will be 200. If we want, we can define status code also. So let me define status code. Yes. Okay. 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 Just okay. So what we are doing here, we are defining this payload, and our error code is this, and error message is this. Okay. And as I explained here, since we are using on error continue, so this component will take error and it will send success response. So this listener will receive success response. So in case of success, it will send this payload and it will send status code by default 200. Okay, we are trying to define status code. Okay, so what I will do here, I will create one variable. Okay, and I will give HTTP name, I will give HTTP status. Okay, and then okay, and in HTTP status I will pass directly 200. Okay, now here also in that case, if I want to send particular HTTP error, then here also we need to define. So what I will do, in response, instead of passing this default value, we will write where's dot HTTP status. If we are setting that HTTP status, then well and good, otherwise default 200. Okay, in case of success, if we are changing this HTTP status variable, if we are setting some value, then we will get that status, but by default we will set 200. So here we have defined HTTP status 200 itself, so we will get same. Okay, now let me save this. Okay, and we'll call this API. Okay, first let me check deployment. Okay, deployment completed. Now we are at this point. Moving next, here we will get error. This time we have our error handler here. Okay, so it will not go to default error handler, and whatever type means this error handling any kind of error, since in type we haven't defined anything, so it will handle all kind of error. So click on next. So we are inside this error handler scope. Okay, and inside this error handler scope we have on error continue. So on error continue will take that error and it will send success. So in that case, if you see here, if you remember what we discussed, like whatever payload in HTTP listener, if you go again, go to response, in case of success, what will be my body? Since we have error, but this on error continue sending success, so our success block will be executed, success response block will be executed. So body will be payload, so that's why we are getting this payload, since we have configured this payload here. Okay, and our status is 200. Okay, so till this point what we learned, we are defining on error continue, and on error continue scope will take error and it will send success. Okay, you can also say like it will take red and it will send green. Okay, it will take error and it will send success. Now what I will do, instead of this on error continue, I will comment it out. Go to XML, this on error continue, source, add block comment, and I will add inside this error handling, I will add on error propagate. Okay, again what we will do here, also we will set same thing. So what I can do, I can take copy paste transform message. Okay, so where is my on error? On error propagate, this on error propagate. So this is ending here, so I don't want to end it here in next line. Okay, and before this I'm pasting that code. So here you can see again we are writing same transformation. So this time this is our error. Okay, so in error code this time I will send this XA1002, and here what I will send in error message, I will send error description. So what I will do, error object we will get, and we will send error description in error message. Okay, now what is on error propagate? So on error propagate is error handler component in MuleSoft which will take error and it will send error. Okay, so this component will handle error, but what it will do, it will accept error and it will send error. Here also we haven't defined type, so it will accept any kind of error, and whatever operation we will, whatever component we will define inside this, all component will be executed, and after that it will send error message. Okay, so in case of error message, how my HTTP listener will behave, if you go in response, so in case of error it will send this set of response. So in body what we are sending error description. So whatever payload you have defined here, this will not work since we are not sending this payload. In case of error, what we are sending this error description. So first time we will see are we getting this error description, then second time what I will do, instead of sending this I will send that body, means I will send payload what we have created here. And in status code again I want to send same thing, where's dot http status. Okay, spelling is correct na? Yeah, and default, in case of this default I will send 500. Okay, and whatever HTTP status we will set here, that HTTP means whatever we will set in our flow, whatever HTTP status variable will be there, that HTTP status will go inside status code. So this time what I want to do, in HTTP status I want to set like 502, for example I am setting 502. Okay, so my variable is this HTTP status and my payload is this. But if you go listener and go to response, in case of error scenario, what we are sending error description inside body, and we are setting variable HTTP status and default 500. So let's see what response we will get here. So let me save this, and I think we already saved this. Deployment also completed. Let me call this. So we are at this point. Go to next. We will get error at this point. Okay, it will, this component will throw error, and when this component mule component will throw error, So its parent flow is this flow. This flow will catch that error and it will pass to error handling scope. In error handling scope, we are handling that error using on error propagate component. Now whatever component you will define here, till now we have one component. If we want we can add more component here. Okay, generally we put this transform to set final payload, error payload and HTTP status, and we used to keep one logger also. What this logger will do, this logger will display one log message in case of error scenario. So for now actually we haven't configured this, so we will not get this, but this component we have configured. So our payload will be this, okay, and our HTTP status will be 502. Okay, let me complete this. We completed this one, and if you see here, we are not getting payload, but we are getting this 502 bad gateway. Since we have defined 502, so that's why we are getting 502. But we are not getting that payload what we defined here. So why we are not getting? As I told, this on error propagate component will take error and it will send error. So what this listener will receive? This listener will receive error. So in that case, response of this listener will be error response, and inside this we have defined body as a this. That's why we are getting error description. If I want this payload, what payload I am setting here? So here we need to write payload. So now what will happen? Whenever there will be error, this error will go to this on error propagate. Now on error propagate will create this payload and set variable, and then there will be one logger. In logger we can display like error received. For now we are not displaying proper formatted error log, so for understanding purpose we are displaying this error received. Okay, so whatever payload we will set here and whatever HTTP status will set there, we will receive that here. Since we are returning this payload and we are returning this HTTP status, so that we will receive. So let me complete the deployment. I think deployment already completed. We'll call this. We are at this point. Error will come. Okay, and this error will be catched by this flow, and this flow has their error handling scope, and inside this error handling scope we have on error propagate. So on error propagate has type any, so it will receive any kind of error, and what it will do, it will set payload, it will set variable here. Okay, so if you see here, now we have this payload. Okay, and then we have this variable HTTP status 502, and once this logger will complete, we don't have any activity, so this on error propagate will throw error. Now HTTP listener will receive that error, so it will display this error response, it will send this error response. So in error response we are sending this payload. So what is my payload? So as a body we will receive this, and in status code we are sending this. So as a status code we will receive this 502. Okay, so status code will receive 502, body we will receive this. Okay, let me complete this and go to Postman and see here. We are getting this payload and we are getting this error code. Okay, now till this point what we did, whatever on error propagate on or on error continue we had, both are handling any kind of error type, we are using any. So what I will do now, one more thing, this on error propagate or on error continue, so we can use at a time also, and we can use number of on error propagate and on error continue at a time. Okay, so what I will do, I will uncomment this on error propagate also, on error continue also. So we have this on error continue, source, remove block comment. Now if you go to your message flow, you can see we have on error propagate and we have on error continue. What error we are getting? Every handle except for the last one. Okay, so both hash type any, so that's why it's creating problem. Okay, both error handler should not contain type any, only one error handler. So here we can define multiple error handler, means a set of on error continue and on error propagate, but only one error handler can contain type any. Okay, so what I want to do, whatever mule dataweave expression, like whatever dataweave expression error will come here. Okay, so I want to handle by this on error continue. I don't want to handle by this on error propagate. Okay, so what I need to do here, I need to define type. Okay, so type will be any expression. If you remember, so type will be, there will be one namespace any and then type this. So what will happen? Now this on error continue will handle only one error, that is mule expression error. It will not handle all kind of error. Okay, so this will handle only dataweave expression error. If there will be any other error, this on error continue will not handle. And one more thing, whenever you are defining any error handler which is of type any, you must keep at the end of flow. Okay, whenever you are defining any error handler which contain type any, it must be end of our all on error, sorry, it must be our all the error handler, last of all the error handler. Okay, we should not keep on the top of or in between. Why? See, whenever there will be error and if we have multiple number of error handler, it will check from top to bottom. If we will keep any at the top, then what will happen? Whatever error will come, it will go to any. But we have specified different error handler for different cases. So what it means, if particular error is coming and we have particular error handler for that, then it must go there. If we will define any on top, then what will happen? That error will go inside any, since any can handle any type of error. That's why any, wherever you are defining error type equals to any or blank, it must be your end of all error handler. It must be at the bottom of all the error handler. Okay, now what will happen? If we will get dataweave expression error, then that error will be handled by this on error continue. A part of this dataweave expression, if we will get any error, then it will be handled by this. Okay, so what I will do, first we will run this and we will see this on error continue handling this dataweave expression or not. Okay, so let me save this and let it complete the deployment. could not find a error type for the given. Okay. Okay, that should be okay. I did mistake. It should be mule expression. I did mistake here. It should not be any. It should be mule expression. So namespace should be mule and error type should be expression. Okay, so I think we already saved, so let it deploy. Deployment done. We'll call this API. We will go in debug mode and we'll see. So we are at this point. Okay, we are calling this data web expression. It's failing here. See, we are going this mule on error continue, and since we have defined mule expression error here, if we will get any other kind of error and we have defined type as a mule expression, so this on error continue will not able to handle this, so it will go to next if we have anything next. If we don't have anything in next, then again it will go to default error handler. But we have one on error propagate. Okay, and this on error propagate is capable to handle any kind of error, so this error handler on error propagate will handle that if there will be some other error. So we'll try to create some other error after this. So now what will happen, we will get 200 and whatever payload we have defined here. Okay, and later on I will add one logger also. For now it will not execute since it's not deployed. Complete this and you will see result here. Okay, we are getting 1001 what we defined inside on error continue and non-critical error 200. Okay, now what I will do here, I will try to generate some other error instead of this data web. So what I will do, I will configure one HTTP listener, HTTP requester, and I want to call some API, but that API doesn't exist. So we will get some other error. Instead of this mule expression error, we will get some connectivity error. So here inside connector configuration, whatever required property is there, I am defining. So at least our build should not fail. Okay, local host, and in port I am giving 8085. Since we don't have any application in local host running on 8085, so this requester will fail. Okay, in path I am giving test. Since we don't have any API having this detail local host 8085 and test, so this requester will fail, and when this requester will fail, it will give some other error. Compare here we are getting mule expression, but here we will give some connectivity error. Okay, HTTP connectivity error. Okay, so let me create this. Actually we have error at this stage also, but when we will get error here, so here only it will throw error and this flow will catch that error and it will pass to this error handling scope. So we will not go to this step. So what I will do, let me check deployment completed or not. Deployment done. Go to Postman, call this and yeah, we are at this place. Now we'll go there. Okay, and we don't have any service. Whatever detail we have defined, based on that we don't have any service up and running, so it will throw error. Now we'll see what error object is displaying. In description, connection refused. Why we got connection refused? Since we don't have any API running with that local host 8085 port and test URL. And what is the error type? We are getting HTTP connectivity. Now if you see here, this on error propagate, on error continue, handling only mule expression. So what will happen with this on error HTTP connectivity? So this will not able to handle. So next component we have on error propagate, and this can handle any kind of type, any type of error. So this will handle this. Okay, so let me click on next. See, we are coming on this error handler, on error propagate, and this error handler activity will be executed. Whatever component we have, all component will be executed, and we will get response here. We are getting 502 since we have configured HTTP status as a 502, and we are getting this payload. This time error description is this, that's why we are getting this. Error code we have defined XA1002, that's why we are getting this. Now what I want to do, instead of sending this error to this on error propagate, what I will do, I will create one more on error propagate in between these two, and will configure that type HTTP connectivity here. Okay, so go to code. So I don't want to handle it by this generic error handler. This error handler will handle any kind of error, but in message, for example, here we are sending critical error. Okay, so here in case of on error propagate any, we are sending this critical error as a message. But what I want to do, I want to handle HTTP connectivity in a specific way. Like we have some requirement, if we are getting HTTP connectivity, then send different error code and different error message. So in that case we can't use this, since this on error propagate is for all other kind of error. So what I will do, I will take one on error propagate and will place in between these two. Okay, so here we have on error propagate. So what I will do, here also we are getting error here. Okay, it's a dummy error. So what I will do, I will configure this transform message. Okay, from backend I will copy paste. I will go to so what I will do, I will take this transform message and this logger, and I will put everything here. Okay, so still we are getting error. Okay, we are getting error. Why? Here also type is any, and we can't use two error handler component with types any. Okay, so what we need to do, here we can define type equals to HTTP connectivity. We got na last time HTTP, and then connectivity. Okay, even if you can search here. Okay, so once you will click on this search, whatever component you have configured in your flow, based on that flow you will get all the suggestion. So what I want this HTTP connectivity, so I can select this and enter. Even if you want in a single error handler, you can select multiple type. For example, here I want to select HTTP connectivity, HTTP forbidden, HTTP bad request. So if there will be this kind of error, then this on error propagate will handle this. or other like HTTP not found, HTTP not acceptable. So we are defining 5 type of error in same on error propagate. Okay, see, all error type will come by comma separated. Here also if you want, you can define multiple error. So type can be one or multiple, or if you will not put anything, then it will be all. Okay, now if there will be this kind of error like bad request, connectivity, anything, then this on error propagate will handle that error. Okay, first it will go to this on error continue, but type is different, so this will not able to handle. So again it will check here. So is type matching with this HTTP connectivity? Yes, matching. So whenever there will be error HTTP connectivity, it will go inside this on error propagate. Now on error propagate will take error and it will send error. And what will happen here? Inside response we have error response, body as a payload, and variable status code is equals to vars.http status. So whatever value we will send here, set here as a payload. So in payload I want to send XA1003, and here instead of non-critical error I want to send HTTP connectivity or HTTP error. Okay, so in this way you can see, like based on different scenario we are sending different error code and error message. So business will come to know why we are getting that particular error. So whenever you will develop any API, so you should define different error code and error message. So whenever someone calling your API, if you have mule expression error, you will send expression error. They will come to know, oh, there is something expression error in our this mule application. If we are calling external API and that API is not available, in that case we have agreement, like if we are calling external system and that system is down or something is there, in that case we will send this error code 1003 and this HTTP error. So when they will call our API, they will receive this error, they will come to know that external system is down or something problem with that external system. Okay, so now what I will do, already saved, I think, no, not saved, let me save this, let it deploy, then we'll test this time HTTP connectivity. Okay, deployment done. Calling this, so we are at this place, requester. Now this requester will fail since we don't have any API. So what we are getting here, HTTP connectivity. Are we handling this error? Mule expression no, HTTP connectivity yes. So this error will be catched by this on error propagate. Click on next. So we are at this place, so we are doing some transformation, and after transformation we have this payload and we have this variable 200. Okay, I don't want to send 200. For example, in case of error we should send something else, so we'll change this to 400, 500 or whatever, 500 we will change. Okay, once completed, you can see here we are getting this 1003 HTTP error, 200 we don't want to pass here, since we want to send error response. Now we are using on error propagate. So what I will do, here we will pass 500. Okay, and in logger everywhere we will send message like error. What message we are sending? Error received, so we'll send same. generally we should pass we should log proper description and then transaction ID. So by going through log we will able to understand what is error, what exactly error is there. But for now we are just displaying this message. Okay, so this part is also done. Now what I will do, see, we have this HTTP error also, we have this data weave error also. Whenever HTTP error is coming, it's going to this on error first going here, checking with type, it's not matching, so it's going here. And if it will not match here also, then it will go here, and here type is any, so everything we can handle here. But now what I want to change, I want to change the sequence of this error. So now my first data weave error will come. So what will happen, whenever data weave error will come, it will go to on error continue and will check type mule expression. Yes, this one is mule expression. So this will handle this error, and this payload we will send 1001, and HTTP status we will send 200, and then we will do this log and process will be completed. So we'll test this scenario again. So we are at this place. Okay, in data weave we will get error. Okay, so here we have mule expression, type is mule expression. So this error will be catched by this on error continue. Okay, we completed this, we configured some payload and variable, and then we logged that message, error received. And if you go here, you can see XA1001 and expression error.